Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Falcons favored by 5.5. 1-1 Falcons in the 0-2 Panthers with a division matchup here. Over under just 43.5 in Carolina.
I've been so impressed by Atlanta's defense. I mean, obviously, the Vikings' offense looks like it might be bad, but they were breaking out all kinds of stuff. They've been exotic with what they're throwing at teams. They've had a pass rush. The pass rush is coming from everywhere. They look like a really, really good defense. The back end is impressive as well. So the only potential weakness is now at the cornerback spots because they've lost A.J. Terrell for a bit with a hamstring injury, and their number 2 corner was already a question mark coming into the season just because of track record. And now their number 2 is their number 1, and their so that's the one potential weakness of this group, and those guys have got to cover Tetero and McMillan this week. But outside of that, this defense has looked really impressive.
Yeah, they really have. Love what I've seen from Atlanta. I thought overall played very well against the Bucs in week 1 and really dominated Minnesota in week 2. And they're getting pressure from different places. I've mentioned Divine Diablo's name a ton here for the Falcons, playing linebacker, him and Caden Ellis as an excellent 1-2 punch so far, playing linebacker, and then their ability to just move their edge rushers around. I mentioned James Pierce. I mentioned all their edge rushers having linebacker-type bodies. It's not like 1-for-1. I mean, James Pierce is still an edge rusher. He's just a slightly smaller edge rusher. Jalen Walker is a legitimate hybrid. So they're creating indecision from offensive lines. They're blitzing extremely well, and they're winning one-on-ones. So they're doing a lot, Atlanta, up front. So I love the way that pass rush is going, and they will need it. If they're missing Terrell, it's a tough one because he's been there. Yeah. Their top corner for a while.
But that pressure, could hide an awful lot on the back end. I mean, James Pierce, NGS says he has the 5th highest pressure rate of any player in the NFL this season, up at 24%. That's pretty insane. So, and he's obviously not just the only guy that's winning. If you're getting pressure that much, you can hide a lot of bad coverage.
And you're talking about Carolina, one of their strengths last year, after having one of the worst offensive lines for a few years, they were pretty good in pass pro last year, but they've been banged up on their offensive line. And, Bryce Young's turnovers have been an issue, putting the ball on the turf multiple times this year. Is it 3 total fumbles off the top of my head? We're at the time of the season when I think I have all the numbers in my head. I think he has 3 fumbles, right? At least 2. 1 in each of the last 2 weeks. Either way, you've got some injuries up front, or an injury up front at center. So the pass rush for Atlanta, like Bryce got to take better care of the football.
Yeah.
Generally. And then Carolina's offense got to find a consistent complement to Tetero and McMillan. I think Hunter Renfrow is what he is in the slot. But McMillan, as your go-to guy, you need more from Xavier Legette, who had the -2 yards on 8 targets last week. Need more consistent options here for Bryce Young so we can get rid of the ball and feel good about it. I think Bryce has played okay. It's one of those okay outside of the turnovers. The turnovers have been bad. He's had some ugly throws in there, putting the ball on the turf, as I mentioned. But, again, it's the standard being, we've seen him being like, you might not be able to play in the NFL at all. So we're not at that. He's still throwing with some anticipation. He's still getting the ball to his receivers at times. But the turnovers, I think, have killed him so far.
Well, last week was weird because it felt like garbage time right up until it wasn't, Yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, they're actually – they have the ball back and they could win the game.
And then Arizona cracked down again.
Right. But basically right up until that point, it kind of felt like garbage time.
And so Carolina's offense in 2 weeks did very little against Jacksonville. The only time that they consistently moved the ball with Arizona was when they were down 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, it's like he put up 300
Every
yards.
Every time they're in a normal game flow situation, the Carolina offense has struggled.
But did that mean anything at all? Or was it just that Cardinals took their foot off the gas and couldn't really locate it until late in the game when they really needed to? So, he's got to play better. It's unfortunate, again, this has happened with Bryce Young and with Caleb Williams in Chicago, where it's like the offseason moves, like the personnel, the on paper, both years look like they've really helped, move things in his direction massively. And in both cases, it looks like it's not working for 2 straight years. Tetero McMillan looks like a really good addition for them, but they're just getting 0 from Xavier Legette. You traded away Adam Thielen, so now you're relying on a Hunter Renfrow, at least until Jalen Coker gets back, and that I don't think is a quick fixing injury that he's got, so that's going to be a while. like until they get Coker back in the lineup, minimum, they just don't have enough around him.
Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action. Other side of the ball, Drake London, 30% target share this year, 11th highest in the NFL per next gen, going up against J.C. Horn. Horn's had a really nice start to the season for the Panthers. I'm worried about the Panthers' pass rush. Again, only 1 sack, lowest in the NFL, and just general pressure. So they're not there yet from a pass rush perspective in Carolina. And then they had at least one game last year where I think the 1-2 punch of Bijan and Tyler Algier, I think they both went over 100 against Carolina in one of their matchups. Now you've got Derek Brown back at least for Carolina this season. But man, Atlanta, when we talk about multiple ways to win, Atlanta has some of those games where they don't even need the quarterback. They can run Bijan Robinson and Algier. I think Bijan looks outstanding so far, and Algier is just a nice little power back complement to that. So I think that's going to be tough to stop for Carolina. The two backs, and then, Penix hasn't really opened it up yet, but I still think they have that in them to get the ball down the field as Mooney gets more, acclimated to coming off his injury, and then, Drake London on the other side.
So it's an interesting matchup for them on that side of the ball because they're going up against Carolina, who still doesn't really have a huge amount of pass rushing presence. They are banged up front as well. The banged up part might actually improve them. Like they might be forced into playing the rookies that haven't seen the field much, so maybe that'll spark something. The Falcons are one of these interesting teams where, Ben Baldwin does these kind of composite rankings and various things where he pulls together PFF and SIS and ESPN and blah, 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 and tries to create like an aggregate type of deal. But sometimes you get where the number is very different because of the methodologies.
Especially through 2 weeks, but yeah.
Of course, yeah. But the Falcons have one of the best sort of composite scores of pass protection ratings, but the PFF grade is very low. And whereas the SIS, they have, I think, the best pass blocking number by SIS. I would suggest, because of the way PFF tracks pressure and that kind of thing, I would suggest that is an indication that the personnel is not actually playing that well, but the offense overall is getting good results from it, which is effectively, it's a scheme data point.
Getting rid of the ball.
But it means that it's functioning, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to function even better if they go up against a team like Carolina that can't get pressure.
Right. So it's a good one. Remember, last time we saw this matchup, Week 18 last year, Falcons had a playoff spot on the line. They needed to win. They also needed the Bucs to lose. And it was an absolute shootout, right? Part of our optimism for both Michael Penix and Bryce Young was watching them in this shootout. Bryce Young had already put together a few good games, but he was throwing the ball down the field, making a ton of plays. Michael Penix was going throw for throw. I think he had, 5 or 6 big-time throws in there. An outstanding Week 18 matchup between these two teams. Neither offense has been that. They haven't been explosive through the air through 2 weeks, but I think they do have it in them. So another game, I'm looking forward to it Sunday at 1. I think it'll be a good one. And when we talk about what it means, look, Atlanta, I still think they're the best threat to the Bucs in the NFC South. And then Carolina, I mean, you don't want to fall to 0-3, obviously. In a season when you're supposed to be, they showed signs of life in the second half last year. You're supposed to be on the upswing to start 0-3.
Yeah.
Just a massive uphill battle when you're trying to show improvement across this roster in year 3 with Bryce Young at the helm. Atlanta by 5.5 here, Sam.
Going with the Falcons, win and cover.
Man, I hate 5.5. How many games are 5.5 this week? Give me Atlanta. Give me Atlanta. Harry's going to take Atlanta too, but home underdogs, Carolina. I mean, they could keep it close.
Sure.
I think we'll have a good game though.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?